There are two types of attraction in this world. One is loud. It screams for your attention, demanding to be noticed. The other is silent. It doesn't call out to you. It simply pulls you into its orbit without you ever realizing it happened. When you first see her, you might not understand why your eyes refuse to leave the room. She isn't wearing the loudest colors or speaking the loudest words, yet she is the undeniable center of gravity. She is the modern Sigma female. What makes her invisible magnetism so predatory? Why do highly intelligent men find themselves losing their composure in her presence? Today, we deconstruct the 12 psychological reasons why the Sigma woman is the most intense and irresistible enigma of the modern age. Number 1, the first pillar of this magnetic gravity is the scarcity principle. Human psychology is biologically hardwired to assign higher value to resources that are rare or difficult to obtain, and Sigma females embody this principle in its purest form. In a modern era defined by digital overexposure, where most individuals are constantly broadcasting their locations, thoughts, and emotions to the masses, Sigma females remain the ultimate anomaly. Because Sigma females are often solitary and categorically refuse to perform or dance for social attention, their presence never feels common or guaranteed. Instead, it feels like a strictly limited resource. While others are busy saturating the social market with their availability, Sigma females operate on a different frequency. This intentional absence creates a psychological vacuum. When Sigma females finally do appear in a social setting, that presence is treated as a luxury rather than a given. This creates an intense pull dynamic. Because Sigma females don't push themselves into other people's spaces, others naturally feel a primal urge to secure a spot in theirs. This isn't a game of playing hard to get. For Sigma females, it is an authentic state of being. They are genuinely comfortable in their own company, which means they don't need the crowd. This lack of need is precisely what makes them so a kingship coveted. In the eyes of a high-value observer, the rarity of Sigma females suggests a high level of internal quality. The logic is simple. If Sigma females are this selective with their time, then their attention must be worth more than the average. By existing outside the reach of the general public, Sigma females ensure that every interaction carries significant weight. They are the black diamonds of human social dynamics, rare, durable, and infinitely more magnetic because they cannot be found just anywhere. Number 2, the second pillar of this intense attraction is emotional self-sufficiency. There is a profound, almost hypnotic draw toward an individual who does not rely on external validation to maintain their sense of worth. And Sigma females are the embodiment of this internal fortress. In a world where most people are constantly seeking a mirror, whether through social media likes, public approval, or romantic reassurance to confirm their value, Sigma females remain entirely self-contained. When Sigma females are genuinely satisfied in their own company, it sends a high-frequency signal of mental health and unshakable stability. This lack of emotional hunger is universally magnetic because it is so incredibly rare. For Sigma females, happiness is not a collaborative project. It is a private one. Because Sigma females do not look to others to fix their moods or complete their identities. They never come across as needy or desperate. This creates a powerful pull dynamic. Most people are used to being pursued or needed. But when they encounter Sigma females who are perfectly content without them, it triggers a deep-seated curiosity and a desire to be part of that self-sustained world. This emotional independence suggests that if Sigma females choose to let someone in, it is based on genuine interest rather than a frantic need for support. Furthermore, this self-sufficiency gives Sigma females an aura of unmessability. Since Sigma females provide their own emotional fuel, they cannot be easily manipulated or controlled through the withdrawal of affection. This strength is intoxicating to high-value partners who are tired of the fragile egos and constant maintenance required by more dependent archetypes. By being the primary source of their own validation, Sigma females command a level of respect that is impossible to ignore. They aren't looking for a half to make them whole. They are already complete, and that wholeness is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Number 3, the third pillar of this irresistible gravity is deep mystery. In an era of total digital transparency where the average person feels an almost compulsive need to broadcast their every thought, meal, and emotion, Sigma females choose the power of the unseen. By sharing almost nothing about their personal lives or inner architectures, Sigma females effectively create a psychological blank slate. This intentional silence acts as a mirror rather than a window. It forces others to project their own ideals, fantasies, and curiosities onto them. Because Sigma females do not provide a narrative for the public to consume, the human mind, which naturally abhors a vacuum, is forced to invent its own stories about who they are. This leads to a persistent, often obsessive desire in others to be the one who finally uncovers the complex individual behind the mask. For Sigma females, mystery is not a theatrical performance, but a strategic defense and a mark of high-value character. This lack of information creates a chase that is entirely mental. Most people are read within the first 10 minutes of meeting them, but Sigma females remain a locked vault. This creates a powerful attraction for high-caliber individuals who are bored by the obvious. To an observer, the silence of Sigma females suggests a depth that most cannot fathom. They become a riddle that begs to be solved, a secret that demands to be known. The less Sigma females say, the more weight their presence carries, and the more others find themselves mentally circling their orbit, trying to find a crack in the armor. This deep mystery also ensures that Sigma females are never taken for granted. Because they remain enigmas, they are never figured out or filed away as predictable. This unpredictability keeps the fire of interest burning long after the initial encounter. In a world where everyone is a spoiler for their own life story, Sigma females understand that the most captivating stories are the ones that are never fully told. By maintaining a private world, Sigma females ensure they are always the most interesting person in the room. Not because they are talking, but because of everything they are keeping to themselves. Which one are you starting to notice about yourself? Comment the number below. Number for the fourth pillar of this magnetic intensity is the non-reactive nature of Sigma females. In high-pressure, chaotic, or emotionally charged social situations, most people succumb to the fight or flight response, becoming visibly anxious, defensive, or overly talkative. Sigma females, however, remain entirely calm and observant. This unshakable energy acts as a profound psychological anchor in any room they occupy. Because Sigma females do not offer immediate, impulsive reactions to provocations or surprises, they project a position of extreme power and high emotional intelligence. This lack of reactivity is not a sign of indifference. It is a sign of total internal control. To an observer, the stillness of Sigma females suggests that they are processing information at a much deeper level than those around them, making them appear intellectually and emotionally superior without saying a single word. For Sigma females, non-reactivity is a strategic advantage. It allows them to analyze the motivations and insecurities of others while keeping their own cards hidden. This creates an intense pull dynamic because people are naturally drawn to the strength found in silence. While others are seeking attention through noise, Sigma females command it through their composure. This groundedness is incredibly magnetic to high-value individuals who are tired of the volatility and drama of the modern world. They see in Sigma females a sanctuary of logic and peace, a rare individual who cannot be easily rattled or manipulated. Furthermore, this non-reactive stance forces others to work harder to understand Sigma females. When someone tries to elicit a reaction and fails, it creates a power gap that the other person feels compelled to fill, often leading them to reveal more about themselves than they intended. Sigma females use this stillness as a high-level filter for quality. By remaining calm, they see the world as it truly is, not as their emotions dictate. This spicy Lady Grace makes Sigma females the ultimate enigma. They are the eye of the storm, perfectly at peace while the world spins around them, making their steady energy the most attractive force in the room. Number 5, the fifth pillar of this magnetic intensity, is intentional communication. In a world that is increasingly loud and cluttered with verbal filler, the Sigma female stands out by treating her words as a high-value currency. She is the executioner of small talk, viewing superficial pleasantries as a drain on her cognitive resources and a distraction from meaningful connection. She rarely engages in the frantic need to fill every silence with noise. Instead, she waits until she has something of substance to contribute. When she finally does choose to speak, her delivery is usually direct, thoughtful, and impactful. This gives her words an almost physical weight in a room, forcing people to stop and listen with a level of focus they rarely afford to anyone else. For the Sigma female, communication is a surgical tool. She doesn't use 3 sentences when 3 words will suffice. This economy of language creates an aura of authority and intelligence that is intoxicating to high-caliber individuals. While others are babbling to hide their insecurities, she remains quiet, allowing her silence to act as a filter. This makes every syllable she utters feel like a revelation. To an observer, the way she speaks suggests that she has already processed the conversation 10 steps ahead of everyone else. She isn't just participating in an exchange, she is directing the flow of information with precision. This intentionality makes her a captivating conversationalist because she bypasses the scripts and dives straight into the core of the matter. She values depth over volume, and because she is so selective with her input, people naturally place a higher value on her opinion. She understands that in a society of constant noise, the person who speaks the least is often the one everyone wants to hear the most. By mastering the art of the meaningful pause and the well-timed insight, she ensures that her voice is never lost in the crowd, making her presence a silent command for attention. Number 6, the 6th pillar of this magnetic gravity, is the introverted alpha contrast. This paradox is one of the most intriguing aspects of the Sigma female, as she defies the traditional social archetypes that people use to categorize others. Typically, the alpha is expected to be loud, socially dominant, and constantly demanding the spotlight, while the introvert is often dismissed as passive or shy. The Sigma female shatters this binary. She possesses the raw competence, unwavering confidence, and natural authority of a leader, but she delivers it with the quiet, observant demeanor of an introvert. This contrast creates a psychological push-pull effect that makes her presence feel both powerful and mysterious. For the Sigma female, leadership is not about shouting. It is about results and internal certainty. She doesn't need to bark orders to prove she is in charge. She simply moves with a level of self-assurance that compels others to look to her for direction. This quiet authority is highly intriguing to high-value individuals who are tired of the performative dominance seen in modern social hierarchies. They see in her a woman who has the strength to lead an empire, but the discipline to stay silent in a crowded room. Because she does not fit into a predictable box, she remains a constant source of fascination. This contrast also suggests a high level of self-mastery. By being an introverted alpha, she signals that her power is internally sourced rather than dependent on a crowd. She can navigate any social landscape with ease, yet she chooses to remain on the periphery, watching and analyzing. This blend of capability and distance is a rare combination that challenges the typical social script. To an observer, she is the ultimate enigma, a woman who has everything to say, but chooses her moments with surgical precision, making her the most captivating force in any environment. Number 7, the 7th pillar of this magnetic intensity is radical authenticity. In a social landscape dominated by performance and carefully curated digital personas, the Sigma female operates as a breath of raw, unfiltered reality. She exists entirely outside the traditional social hierarchies and the desperate need for peer approval, which means she does not feel the pressure to trend hop or mirror the behaviors of those around her. While others are constantly adjusting their personalities to fit the room, she remains a constant. This unwavering commitment to her true self is incredibly refreshing and acts as a psychological reset for anyone who encounters her. She isn't a copy of a copy, she is the original, and that level of self-certainty is inherently attractive. For the Sigma female, authenticity is not a marketing strategy, it is a byproduct of her independence. Because she spends so much time in solitude, she has already done the heavy lifting of figuring out who she is without the influence of the crowd. This means that when she enters a social space, she doesn't seek to blend in. She wears what she likes, speaks her truth without softening the edges, and pursues her interests regardless of whether they are in style. This take it or leave it attitude is the ultimate power move. It signals to high-value individuals that she is a woman of substance who cannot be bought, sold, or swayed by public opinion. This radical authenticity also creates a deep sense of trust. People are naturally drawn to her because they know exactly where they stand. There are no hidden agendas or social masks to peel away. In a world of plastic, her raw energy feels like a rare and precious diamond. She reminds everyone around her that it is possible to exist without the need for a filter, and that unapologetic sense of self is a silent command for respect. By simply being herself, she becomes a magnetic force that pulls in those who are exhausted by the fake and are searching for something real. If you relate to this mindset, comment presence below and subscribe for more content like this. Number 8, the eighth pillar of this magnetic intensity is high boundaries. Magnetism is inextricably linked to respect, and the Sigma female understands that her energy is a finite resource that must be fiercely protected. Unlike those who feel a compulsive need to be liked by everyone, she has clear, uncompromising no-go zones and rigorous standards for who she allows into her inner sanctum. She does not apologize for her requirements or lower her guard to accommodate the insecurities of others. This firm stance creates a powerful psychological gatekeeper effect. Because she is so selective, being granted access to her world is viewed as a prestigious achievement. People are naturally drawn to the challenge of proving their worth to a woman who refuses to settle for less than excellence. For the Sigma female, boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out, but filters designed to keep her peace in. She has the self-respect to walk away from any dynamic that is draining, disrespectful, or intellectually stagnant. This clean-cut ability is incredibly attractive to high-value individuals because it signals that she is a woman of high status who knows her worth. She doesn't engage in the messy drama of trying to fix people or begging for better treatment. She simply moves on. This creates an aura of unmessability that commands a higher level of respect from those around her. Furthermore, her high boundaries act as a silent filter for quality. Only those with the requisite emotional intelligence and integrity can successfully navigate the perimeter she has set. This ensures that her circle is composed of individuals who match her frequency. To an observer, the way she protects her time and space suggests that what lies within is incredibly valuable. By refusing to be an open book for the masses, she transforms her attention into a rare and coveted prize, making her presence feel like a reward for those who have the discipline to respect her terms. Number 9, the ninth pillar of this magnetic intensity is sensory presence. Because the Sigma female is naturally observant rather than performative, she possesses a rare ability to be entirely in the moment during her rare social interactions. While most people are distracted by their phones, their own internal anxieties, or the need to plan their next sentence, she is firmly grounded in the immediate reality of the exchange. This level of presence is a psychological power move. It makes the person she is speaking to feel as though they are the only other individual in existence. In a world of fragmented attention and digital distraction, her undivided focus is an intoxicatingly rare gift that people find themselves craving almost immediately after the conversation ends. For the Sigma female, this presence is a byproduct of her high emotional intelligence and her lack of social desperation. She isn't scanning the room for a better option or checking to see if others are watching her. She is fully invested in the current sensory experience. This groundedness creates a heavy pull dynamic. People often describe being around her as an intense experience because she is actually listening not just to words, but to subtext, tone, and energy. She notices the details that others miss, and when she reflects those details back in conversation, it creates a profound sense of intimacy and validation. Furthermore, this sensory presence gives her an aura of weight. She doesn't feel flighty or superficial. She feels like an anchor. This makes her presence feel more real than the hyper-edited personalities found in common social circles. To an observer, the way she holds space is both comforting and intimidating. She's a woman who is comfortable in her own skin and fully aware of her surroundings, making her every movement and word feel purposeful. By being truly present, She transforms a standard interaction into a high-stakes encounter, ensuring that she is never forgotten. Number 10, the 10th pillar of this magnetic intensity is indifference to the gaze. There is a specific high-level allure that radiates from an individual who is genuinely not trying to be attractive, and she embodies this effortless power. In a culture that demands women constantly curate themselves for the male or social gaze, the Sigma female's focus remains entirely internal. She does not dress, speak, or act to elicit a reaction or to satisfy a public expectation. This creates a psychological pull rather than a push dynamic. While others are pushing their image onto the world to gain approval, she is simply existing for herself, which inadvertently makes the world lean in to catch a glimpse of her authenticity. For the Sigma female, her indifference is not a pose. It is a manifestation of her autonomy. She is often so deeply immersed in her own thoughts, goals, or sensory environment that she becomes oblivious to the eyes on her. This lack of self-consciousness is incredibly rare and signals a profound level of self-assurance. High-value observers are mesmerized by her because she represents a mystery that cannot be bought with a compliment or a glance. Since she isn't seeking attention, the attention she receives feels more earned and intense. She isn't a performer on a stage. She is a force of nature that continues to move whether anyone is watching or not. This indifference also acts as an elite filter. She is only interested in those who can see past the surface and connect with her internal world. Because she doesn't perform femininity or status, the connections she does make are rooted in substance rather than aesthetics. To an observer, the way she navigates a room, completely unbothered by the judgment of others, is the ultimate aphrodisiac. It suggests that her value is intrinsic and unshakable, making her the most captivating enigma in any environment. Number 11, the 11th pillar of this irresistible gravity is intellectual depth. Solitude is rarely empty for the Sigma female. It is the laboratory where she cultivates a complex and expansive inner world. While others spend their downtime consuming superficial content, she is often found deep diving into specialized skills, extensive reading, or intricate hobbies that require intense focus. This commitment to self-education ensures that she is never a one-dimensional character. To an observer, the sheer volume of her knowledge acts as a silent but powerful magnet. She doesn't just possess information, she possesses insights, making her a captivating conversationalist once the initial shield of her privacy is lowered. For the Sigma female, her intellect is a form of armor and an asset. She is not interested in the top 40 of ideas. She seeks the obscure, the difficult, and the profound. This makes her mind a high-value territory that others are desperate to explore. When she finally engages in a conversation, she bypasses the mundane to address the core of the human experience. This ability to dismantle complex topics with surgical precision is an intellectual aphrodisiac for high-caliber individuals who are exhausted by the shallow chatter of the masses. She provides a level of mental stimulation that is both rare and addictive, leaving others feeling as though they have finally met their match. Furthermore, this depth suggests a life lived with intention. She isn't just a passive observer of the world, she is an active participant in her own evolution. This makes her presence feel heavy with substance. To be in her orbit is to be challenged to think more deeply and live more authentically. She doesn't need to show off her intelligence. It radiates through her vocabulary, her logic, and her unique perspective. By mastering her own mind, she becomes the ultimate enigma, a woman who is as intellectually dangerous as she is magnetically quiet. Number 12, the 12th and final pillar of this magnetic gravity is unpredictability. In a society where most people are governed by predictable social scripts and the desire to be understood, the Sigma female exists as a profound exception. She does not follow the standard, if then logic of social interaction. She doesn't laugh at jokes that aren't funny. She doesn't offer the expected platitudes in conversation. And she doesn't feel obligated to follow the trajectory of a typical relationship or career path. This refusal to be categorized makes her a psychological moving target because you can never quite guess what she is thinking or what her next move will be. Others find themselves in a state of perpetual mental engagement. This isn't the chaotic unpredictability of someone who lacks stability. It is the calculated, autonomous unpredictability of someone who is entirely guided by her own internal compass. For the Sigma female, this trait acts as a natural safeguard against being taken for granted. In human psychology, certainty often leads to boredom, but the Sigma female never allows that threshold to be reached. She is a book that you can never finish reading. Just when an observer thinks they have grasped her character, she reveals a new layer of intellectual depth or a specialized skill that defies their previous assessment. This creates an open loop in the minds of those who encounter her, fueling a curiosity that is both frustrating and deeply addictive. People find themselves replaying their interactions with her, searching for patterns and clues to decode her mystery, which only serves to tighten her magnetic pull. This unpredictability ensures that the pursuit of her mind is a lifelong fascination. High-value individuals are drawn to the challenge she presents. She is the ultimate intellectual and emotional puzzle. While others are an open book by the second meeting, she remains an evolving narrative that requires constant focus and respect to navigate. She understands that true power lies in the unseen and the unexpected. By remaining unmapped and unmanaged, she remains the ultimate sovereign, making her the most captivating enigma in any room she chooses to enter. The final chapter of this exploration brings us to the core of the enigma. As the visual narrative draws to a close, we see the woman slowly stand up, a movement defined by grace and total lack of urgency. She leaves a single coin on the table, a final tangible marker of her presence, and walks out into the night without a single backward glance. The candle from the intro flickers in the wake of her departure and finally goes out, leaving a lingering trail of smoke in the cold air. This exit is not a dramatic performance. It is a declaration of sovereignty. It illustrates that the magnetism of a Sigma female isn't a temporary spark or a fleeting social gimmick. It is a permanent shift in your perspective. She doesn't just enter your life as a guest. She redefines the very parameters of how you perceive power, privacy, and attraction. Once you have encountered this frequency, the loud, desperate clamoring of the modern world will always feel hollow in comparison. Her influence is tectonic. She challenges the societal script that equates visibility with value and noise with importance. By witnessing her self-sufficiency and her refusal to perform for the gaze of others, you are forced to confront your own dependencies. This is why her magnetism is described as a redefinition. She acts as a psychological catalyst, triggering an internal evolution in those who are fortunate enough to enter her orbit. She is the living proof that a woman can be entirely complete within herself, and that true intimacy is born from two whole individuals choosing to share a space rather than two halves desperately trying to fill a void. Which brings us to the reflection of your own journey. Have you ever felt an attraction you couldn't explain? A pull towards someone whose silence was more captivating than any speech? Or are you the woman whose silence is louder than the crowd? The one who finds more strength in a solitary night of reflection than in a room full of shallow validation? If these 12 pillars resonated with your internal architecture, you are part of a rare demographic that values substance over hype. We invite you to tell us your story in the comments below. Whether you are an observer trying to decode a Sigma in your life or a Sigma female navigating this loud world, share your insights elegantly and with the sophistication this community represents.